Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Sarah, also known as LaughLoveLangella, and in today's video we're just going to be doing a couple of little touches to our living room space that have kind of been on my mind for a little bit now, and I feel like I just need to commit to doing it rather than thinking about it for months and months and sometimes years on end when it comes to things. So when we moved into our home, we bought it in July of 2022. So we're coming up on being here for 3 years now, which is absolutely crazy. Time has truly flown by. And so we're just adding our touch slowly to this home. It's very builder grade. And while there's nothing wrong with it, we really want to be adding more of our personality and style to it as well. And so we had done the front entryway molding project 2 years ago now, I believe. I just got this very, very budget-friendly trim from Lowe's and did some box molding, just trimming out the walls. It's a very small entryway space, so I just followed the actual sizing of the walls. It just came in the same measurement on all of them, and so that way it just looked nice, well-rounded, but added just a slight touch of definition even with the walls being white. The downstairs is open concept. It just is a very large room, and I just needed something to break up the spaces a little bit. And since we had done that project, this front window wall next to our front door has felt very, very bare and felt like it needed the continuance of the molding to really just kind of complete the space more so. And especially having the built-ins now, it makes sense to run into it. When we didn't have the built-ins, it would have looked weird to have it kind of come around and then just stop. But now it has something to run into. So gonna be adding some trim, gonna be adding some little touches, and actually swapping out the curtain rods as well. But I'll get into that. So in an effort to work smarter and not harder with this, I'm taking the curtains and the rods off before putting the wall trim up. That way I can draw all over the walls the same way that I did last time to mark out my spacing. I'm keeping it identical to the other side. The top one is flush with my door trim. The sides are 4 inches, and from the ground to the actual trim itself at the bottom was like almost 10 inches or so. It's not a perfect measurement because when we relaid the flooring and put the baseboards back on and everything, it did make it a little different. But this way I'm able to measure out how far I want it. And I can also make sure that the spacing will work because the mounts on these new rods are different than the old ones. So for the curtain rods, this was not something that I had on my to-do list by any stretch. I always knew I wanted to replace them at some point, kind of thing. They were still functional. They were holding the curtains up. However, once we did the built-ins and the more that we flipped the couch to the other side, the couch used to be on this wall. Now it faces these. The curtain rods were not even, and that is something that literally I will notice if something is off by half an inch. I'm that person. That is my mother to a T. We are the same. It was going to bother me for the rest of my existence knowing that the curtain rod was not level, and I figured out why. So our curtains are from 2 Pages, great quality, absolutely love them. They have privacy lining in them, so they are quite heavy. And they are so heavy that the brackets to my curtains literally were bending. And so they were bending at a different rate from each other, and therefore literally were crooked on the wall, and it was going to drive me literally insane. So I found some really budget-friendly ones on Amazon that I saw somebody else on Instagram share. I will put her username because I cannot remember it off the top of my head. But I saw them in her dining space, and she has an absolutely huge wall, and I thought they were so beautiful. And if they could span that amount of space and not be bending, they were absolutely going to be able to hold up enough for a singular window. And I just really like the trim detail on them too. So we're going to swap these out so that they are level, but also just adding a nice little touch as well. So I'm not doing an in-depth tutorial of me putting this wall trim up, but just so you can see, I do like to map it out dry fit with some painter's tape before I brad nail it to the wall. That way, if I need to make any adjustments with the level, make sure all my corners are nice and tight, I'm still going to caulk all the seams to it, but it just really helps make all the difference in the quality of how it looks. Now, I will say with these being budget friendly from Walmart, I was super impressed with the quality of them and will absolutely order more of these to use throughout our home. They were really easy to work with and mount as well, which is always a bonus. All right, so I got the second bar up. I hung this one last night and I just ran out of time. I did have to hang them slightly higher than last time because of the wall trim, because I continued it the exact same height as the other one. And they are just slightly short, but it's nothing atrocious by any stretch. So it's fine, we're gonna live with it, but I do like this little middle detail a lot, and that it wraps around, so that way the curtains can actually come around the side, because these panels too, you'll get like the white on it if it's not tucked around. So looking at it from the outside, you're able to just have the curtain, and it just looks a lot nicer. You don't need the middle bracket under a certain width, and so this width was so minor I didn't need it, but from an aesthetic style moment I did opt to add it in because I thought it would be a nice little detail. Thankfully, these curtains have these adjustable tab pieces on the back, so I was able to set them to the longest setting, so that way I could just get even a sliver more of length on these. So here is a finished look at the new rods. It's such a minor change, but I really think that it adds so much to the space, and I love the new style lines and addition of the center piece as well. Now, something I didn't do is I did not add a box above the window. It was too short and the molding was actually going to be touching each other for it, so it didn't make sense to add it there. However, I feel like it might make sense to do the tiny box down here. So if you're looking at it, you have the molding box that's here, you have one here, and then there's just nothing in between. So I feel like this one might make sense. Leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on that, because I'm kind of going back and forth on it and I don't feel like having to get more trim if it's not necessary. But I would love to hear your thoughts about adding this or just omitting it. So over here, I previously had this basket hanging. I still love this. However, when you are looking at the wall, I mentioned this in a recent video actually, when you're looking at this front wall, you had a brown basket, brown drapes, brown built-ins, and just not a lot breaking it up. So I'm actually going to be taking the basket off as much as I enjoyed having a nice texture on the wall. And I'm going to add this brass vessel. This is from Roan Iris Roan. I can never get it straight, I apologize. But we're going to be hanging this up here. A lot of people hang these in their kitchen or their bathroom because it has a hook on it. So you can put a hand towel, dish towel, you can put your scrub brush for your sink. If you've got like a loop for it, you can hang that from it. I would love to hang this next to my kitchen sink. However, I have cabinets on both sides, and immediately below it, because this is short enough to go under a cabinet, immediate below it, I have light switches on both sides. So I can't even put it on that unless I want to put it on the molding, and I really don't want to put this on molding. So we're going to put it here by the front door so that we can help break up the brown, but I can still put some seasonal florals in here. So for placement of this vessel, I'm centering it between the molding and the curtains that I have laid out. If I centered it on the box, it would be definitely offset. And if I centered it between the curtains and the trim of the door, it would also be offset. So for it to be aesthetically balanced to the eye, I'm centering it in the available space that I have. I'm also taking it a step further and making sure that it is level on the top of the basket rather than the holes itself. Whenever it comes to any brass fixtures or something, sometimes the holes are not perfectly level from the manufacturer, so just always double check that before you go to hang something. I know from afar you couldn't see it, but you can see these little pin marks right here. That's how I make sure things are level if I can't just stick tape on the back of it because it's concave. But that way I know exactly where I want my holes to go and I don't have to deal with the tape getting all caught up in everything. Now I'm just adding the vessel itself and some pink cherry blossom stems that I got from At Home last year to add in a beautiful spring pop of color. So here's a finished look now of the addition of the wall trim. It definitely was the right move to add this in. I really should have just done it to begin with, but you know, you live and learn. You have to live in your space to see where your opportunities are with it, but I am so glad that I added that. And I love the addition of this new brass vessel on the wall, and I'm excited to change up the florals seasonally as I did with the basket before. Now the last touch we're adding today is going to be on the left side of our built-ins. We have this skinny little part here between it and the sliding doors to our screened-in porch. So I'm going to take this frame that I've had from Hearth and Hand a million years ago. It feels like probably at least 3, maybe 4. But I'm going to add in one of our favorite family photos from our wedding, actually, of the 3 of us. We're going to need to add an updated picture of the 4 of us, but for the meantime, this will work. Now I'm going to add this cast iron match holder. I found this antique shopping quite some time ago, at least last year. I think it was last year. But the screw head kind of fits in at like a weird angle, so I'm just going to screw it in while it is attached to this. I thought this piece was so cool when I originally found it because it's such a functional item as well, but it gives a styled moment. You can leave some matchsticks in it, obviously out of children's reach, but I thought it was a fun detail even if it's empty on the wall. I love the addition of these little details. I am actually planning on adding wall trim to this wall as well. So maybe this coming weekend it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen in a few months. You'll have to wait and see. So that is going to wrap up today's video, friends. I sure hope you enjoyed a different pace video. It's just so important sometimes, whether you rent or own your home, to create your own space within it. And obviously, if you're renting, there's only so much you can do. You can't be doing wall trim and doing this and that, but you can hang pictures, you can hang fixtures, you can hang mirrors. There's things you can do to add personality to your space. We rented for a bit before we were able to purchase this home, and it was still important for me to create a home within our house and within where we were at. And so just doing these little things here or there just really adds that much to the space, and it's so fulfilling at the end of the day to just sit there and enjoy what you have developed within your space, created, that cozy touch and everything. But leave me a comment down below. Should I add those mini boxes underneath these windows? I really am conflicted. I'm so 50-50 on it. I feel like it will look totally fine if I don't do it, but it also could look really good if I do it. So I don't really know. I would love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you think it would add something. That's really what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to busy things unnecessarily, but if it looks more purposeful, if it looks more intended, I should do it. That's just how I feel about it. But leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video, friends. My next one is going to be 3 ways to style your entryway for the spring season. So you don't want to miss out on that. That'll be Saturday morning. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Bye.